It's another one of those nights out tonight where we can barely see anything out here, or at least you can barely see anything out here. For me, it's just a bit dark, but these lights we have installed around here make it a bit easier to see things. You know, I always like these lights that illuminate in this very like green, glowy feeling to them. They're nice, they're comfy. I don't like lights that are just completely normal. I like lights to have a bit of a personality to them as they're going by. And maybe you can chalk that up to, how I like everything to have a personality to it. I'm always looking at these little things, paying attention to, what makes this special, what makes this interesting, what gives the little, the little speck on the ground its own personality or some bullshit like that, And so, I like looking around at these little customizations that make things interesting. And it had me thinking, about my own YouTube channel, how long I've been doing this, the evolution of where this is going to go as time goes on. And I thought about the fact that, it happened February 16th that I made this YouTube channel in 2015. That was the beginning of the year, after I had just had about 2 years almost of an unsuccessful YouTube adventure with my old channel. I think it was called like Explosive Gaming or something like that. It was really young tier. You could tell like a very young person made it. That was 2013, August or October or whatever of that year. And I was it's crazy to think about, to say that I was like 11 years old. But that was 2013. And that was when I made that channel. I just desperately, wanted to make YouTube videos. I just thought YouTube videos were so cool. And then, as time went on, I realized that the content I was making on there wasn't really my thing. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't know how to do it. So I did the Minecraft videos and stuff for a while, and then I used that as a springboard to make a whole new YouTube channel where I would review video games, and that began February 16th, 2015 as the channel you all know as Star now. Now the reason we like the year 5 years, everyone makes a big deal out of 5 years of something. 5 years married, 5 years clean of heroin, 5 years of this, 5 years of that. The reason people like 5 years so much is just because it's half of 10 years. And 10 years is a round number. So people like round numbers, and so they like the year 10 years because it's a big round number that's easy to understand. And then you go to 6 years, well, you say, oh, well, why don't you just celebrate 6 years, because that's a round number, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it may be a round number, but at that point 6 years is just 4 years away from 10 years, so why are you not just celebrating the fact that it's 4 years away from 10 years? And so I always start breaking these things. Interruptions aside, I always do like breaking these things down. Maybe I don't like them, maybe it just happens, but regardless, it's there. So I was thinking about the fact that, I've been doing this shit for 5 years now, just basically 5 years of me bullshitting on the internet. And there was a time when I really, really hated my videos a lot, and I just desperately wanted to be a YouTuber. It was like all I thought about. This period is 2016 to about 2018-ish, basically. And it really ate away at me for a while, the fact that I couldn't make videos. I had a very individualist mindset. Like, it was like the only thing that I wanted to do. And I learned a lot from that time. And you've heard me talk about, how many failures I had gone through back then, and how it sort of helped me, build into the person that I am now. And that was a valuable experience, right? Well, okay, that's all fine and good. But what came after that, The thing that came after that was, me being able to make videos that people did connect with, that people got emotions out of, videos that meant something to other people, and, that was all fine and good. I got to help people out with my content. That's great. I got to enjoy my content more consistently. I got to do it more. That's great. But as we hit, 5 years of Star here, the only thing I can think about is like, what is this going to be? What is this going to be, 2, 3 years from now, 10 years from now? What am I going to be able to say that this is? And it makes me think of, this period of life that I'm in now as like a transition period. As, this isn't a permanent state at which, the YouTube channel just stops. I mean, it never truly stops. You're always changing and developing and making, building new ideas based off the old ones. But what's the next big evolution that I'm going to go through? I went through the evolution of, being like a fucking shitty Minecraft Let's Play channel in 2013 and 2014, to making this channel which reviewed games, to not reviewing games anymore, to making quote-unquote anime analysis videos, to doing that and then making vlogs simultaneously, to now mostly just making vlogs. And then in the various iterations of the vlogs, we had all kinds of different things going on, like I've done different types of vlogs. I've messed around with it. I've tried shit posting. I've tried making things that that are just like contained films, like little bitty, short films, like that video Exit I did to that Smith song, or it's called, what is it, Please Let Me Get What I Want. I made like a 2-minute video that's basically just like a short. I did that Oboe Chan video, Sing Me to Sleep, with another Smith song, which is basically just, it's another little cinematic thing. I've done those cinematic videos that have tried to, utilize editing to tell a little bit more of a story. And so I've done all kinds of things on here. I've tried experimenting in all kinds of ways, but I want to get to the new evolution of the Star Channel. And I think, where the new evolution is going to be, is going to be traveling. It's not going to be traveling the way that, like, Daniel Lord does, where he just sort of films random stuff as he's traveling and he doesn't really do anything. I want to go meet people the way that, like, Bald and Bankrupt does. Not exactly his style. I want to sort of merge the two of them together, along with mixing in some of my own things in there, my own insanity and wacky antics going on. But I want to do something like that, meeting people in other countries, talking about, what are the cheapest options you can do while you're here? What are some interesting sites that aren't being talked about? And I want to do it in countries that aren't the normal countries, because, I always think that the most personality is in the countries that no one talks about. Countries like Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. No one can find those countries on a map. No one can name those countries. But I find those countries fascinating. Central Asia, post-Soviet countries. I think that's just great. And so, when I look at like what my goals are, my goals are to be able to make enough money to be able to start innovating on the channel, to start making videos that I had never made before. And at this point, this crossroads in the Star career, we're at 5 years now. That's half of 10. And the 5th year now, 2020, this is also the year that I'm going to go be living out on my own. This is also the year that I'm going to be getting a job. This is also the year that I'm going to be living in a whole new different state when I do those things. And so, like, it really is a matter of planning. Like, how can I save this much money? How can I, how can I get this GED? And how can I eventually come back as somebody who during the 6th, 7th, the 8th, and the 9th year is someone who changes things up completely and is never ceasing to improve on the previous mistakes. And I think that's something that I did last year. Last year I really hyper focused on what have I done wrong? What's bad about my content? What chinks in my iron can I get out? And as each year goes by, it's just another opportunity to keep on ironing out those chinks. And there's always going to be more of them. Even as they grow less and less, you'll always be finding more mistakes to fix and expand upon. So, Cheers to the next 5 years, I suppose. February 16th, what a day. Look, this is supposed to be the point in the video where I start passionately ranting to you about how YouTube saved my life or whatever, about how it gave me a direction when there's literally nothing else in the world that I can consider to be like a skill of mine, a thing that I'm good at, something that I consistently like doing that's productive and other people seem to like. But you've all heard me say that a million times, so instead, I'm going to talk about a way that I've changed over the years. Lately, I've been thinking about this, this idea of IRL friends. Having, someone who you can confide in physically, play video games with, go to the pub with, or do whatever it is that you want to do. And it seems like a pretty comfy idea. I mean, you know the history of this channel. I talked in the beginning a little bit at least, about how I wanted to use this channel to make friends with people. That, I couldn't connect with people IRL because my interests were so weird that I needed a YouTube channel to meet people who were of a similar mindset to me, that I just couldn't find anybody that was even remotely similar anywhere close to me. And it made me feel pretty bad that, there was no one who shared my interests that I could have discussions with. I wouldn't really call what I was feeling loneliness per se, but there was a certain sense of longing there to be able to connect with someone over the things that you're interested in. I would have probably been fine if I went on that way, but the desire was big enough to be able to try and seek other people. And as time went on, I had these discussions online with, people with similar interests to me, and I really liked it. I really liked the people who I met online, and I still do. I've met, a lot of all, all of the friends that I have, I've met through the internet, and so I'm very thankful for this YouTube channel because it's given me a medium by which I can connect with all kinds of people, people with totally different perspectives to me, and I think that's really cool. And also people who share interests of mine. But I think that desire to know people has sort of expanded outside of YouTube, because I think there's a value to being able to make friends with people who don't necessarily know everything about you from having seen videos of you talk. I mean, that makes friendship a lot easier because the other person isn't going to have any surprises about certain personality quirks you have, or about, certain weird interests you have. But at the same time, there's a certain excitement, to meeting people who, may be a total blank slate, maybe a complete surprise. And I think there's a certain health that's associated with having people, in the real life space who you can consistently interact with. And maybe those people are online. Maybe the IRL friends you met all online, and it's completely genuine and good, and that's fine. Now, I'd like to have a situation sort of similar to that in the future, but I think it would be interesting. I think it would be interesting to be able to have more connections than what's just inside of this space. And so, if there's one thing I've learned from 5 years of doing YouTube, outside of just practice constantly and get over your failures as soon as they happen, move on to the next project, always be looking at your flaws and trying to fix them in some way. All of this productive stuff that you've heard me go on and on about a million times, outside of the story of how this began. If there's one lesson I'm really going to take away from all of this, it's that your feelings are constantly changing. You're never going to be the same person you are now as who you'll be 5 years from now. You're always going to be different. I mean, you're a different person every day when you wake up. But one thing can hit you, and then your whole view of the world can completely change at times. For some people, that's like a near-death experience. For other people, it's as simple as noticing something when they brush their teeth. So, I don't know. You've heard me preach and preach and preach misanthropy, but maybe I'm moving away from that. Not becoming a normie, fuck that. Being a normie is dumb. This isn't, Star wants to be a normie or something. No, 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 no. But I've noticed myself coming out of my shell a little bit. That's probably cool.